Good evening, everybody. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please stand for a few minutes for a moment of silence. We have two individuals that passed on us in this city that donated their time to the city, and an employee of the city. The first person is Ernestine Jackson, passed away. She was on town committee for a long time. And also, who just passed away recently, Joanne Delizio, who worked for the Board of Education for about 33 years as a maintenance and also as a bus person. Thank you. Oh boy, Stacy's not here. Great. Stacy's not here.
Oh, God almighty.
Huh? What difference is it? Yeah, you can. We'll do a roll call individually, please.
Councilman Gary Donovan, Councilman at Large, present.
Councilwoman Colleen O'Connor, Council at Large here.
Councilman Ron Quagliani, Council at Large here.
Here. Councilwoman Sarah Akbrally, 3rd District, present.
Councilwoman Robin Watt Hamilton, 5th District, present.
Councilman Catherine Tucker, 7th District, present.
Councilman Robert Brown, 9th District, present.
Councilman Stephen Johnstone, 10th District, present.
And Chairman Peter Massaro, 6th District Councilman, present. We got a quorum. Okay. Start public session. Anybody would like to come up and address the council? Yes, ma'am. Please state your name and address, please.
Christine Gallo, 52 Richmond Avenue. I am here speaking on behalf of the Economic Development Commission. Some of you remember that I'm chair of that august body. And I'm here because we once again have come to a situation, this time regarding banners down by the shoreline. Now, when we were reconstituted in January of 2020, and we kind of had more autonomy, ran our own meetings, we were meeting twice a month. We were really going after things. One of the first things we were going after was banners. We spoke to Public Works. We were trying to get specs to do banners. Of course, then the world was shut down. And while we were off, we noticed a lot of centennial banners went up. And I've spoken about this before. I called and asked, who's in charge of these banners? It's in our minutes that we were doing banners. We were tasked with branding and marketing by planning and zoning. And Public Works knew about it. And we were told, well, it's the Centennial Committee and they don't read your minutes and they didn't talk to Public Works. All right, fine. However, we could have told them that for whatever they did, which were very nice fabric banners, we could have gotten something that could have been used for more than 1 year. We have an arts person on our commission. We could have had access to graphic art, done a beautiful job that would have paid tribute to the Centennial and could still be up there being used instead of bare poles, and went right by us. Then I noticed sitting in Moby Dick's this year, we have nice little banners outside for the holidays, little blue and red and green banners. I don't know where they came from, who did them, what discretionary fund that came from, we don't know. We still don't know. They just appeared. Again, not the beautification committee, not us. We're supposed to be in charge of that. Then we hear about, oh, well, UNH wants to buy a bunch of banners down by the shoreline, not pay very much for them. So there's a kerfuffle about that. That goes away. That was not brought up to us. We only know about it because we heard it at the meeting. So now, very ironically, the Chamber of Commerce wants to put banners down on the shoreline. They did not bypass us. I'm in contact with Simon McDonald. He's in contact with me. We were told, okay, we want to sell these banners. We want to put advertising on them. There was a lot of discussion in my commission about this advertising and what it was going to look like. We were assured that we would have input into the design of these banners and the slogan that would be on the banners. Our slogan is West Haven, miles of shore and so much more. We were told that could probably go on the banners. We now see it's West Haven is summer, which I guess mean if it's fall, winter, or spring, you turn around and go home. We have a liaison who's working with the Chamber of Commerce. She has tried to keep in touch. She has heard nothing. We were given absolutely no prototypes of this as we were promised. I don't even want to blame the Chamber of Commerce. I don't want to look the gift horse in the mouth. I think it's great what they've done for us. I don't even want to think of the legwork it required to try and go sell these banners. However, again, the Economic Development Commission has been tasked with something, and we are again bypassed. And I would not be at all surprised if it's someone in the city who got them to bypass us. I don't know who. I can make a guess, but I won't. However, if you are going to have an Economic Development Commission, and you've got people who have little kids and families and full-time jobs, and they give up 2 hours, 3 hours a month to be here and have not given up in 3 years on this commission and are not allowed to do anything, why do we have an Economic Development Commission? It's just a puppet commission, and it should be disbanded if that's the way we're going to be treated. And every time something comes up, and these banners are really just a symptom of it, we are tasked with something, and then it's given to someone else in the city to do. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Council. Anyone else like to come up and address the council? Yes, Mr. Cohen.
Hello. Barry Lee Cohen, 232 Morgan Lane, and Christine. We know everything Christine said was right. I was the liaison at that time. Very disappointing, and at the time I was the first liaison of the council because there was no, I'd asked the chairman at the time, why don't we do it, bottom line is, it was very new, we restarted it, and a lot of work was done, and the people on that committee are absolutely diamonds and talented, and we have to access them, we have to use them. Anyway, that's not why I came here this evening. I did have a comment that I found very concerning that we all know about concerning Corporation Counsel being unpaid suspension for the week, and I guess that week ended today. I'm really not sure when the week began or started. Talked to a lot of people about this, and this is really a group comment type of thing that I'm just giving you, just a perspective here that I'm giving you. Is, there's absolutely no doubt, as provided in the city charter, that Corp Counsel Turner has the power to hire outside counsel to assist the city in legal matters. There's no question there. But as I raised over 2 years ago when I was sitting in your seat, when I was councilman, and he hired his brother for some services, there was no outrage back then, except I was outraged. I got some eye rolling from other council people, but I brought that up and it's in the minutes. And here we are again, 2 years later, and now we have another family member, his wife, that may very well be legal, but quite honestly, firm opinion, it's not professional and it's not ethical. Okay? Might be legal, the way we read it, not professional, not ethical, should not have happened, period. Now, I don't blame Mr. Turnham by himself, I really don't. But Ms. Rossi is equally to blame, not because of the unpaid suspension handed down to Mr. Turnham, which in my own opinion, should have been more than 1 week, but her justification for it was just mind-boggling. The justification was, and I quote, Mr. Turnham's ethics forms were not completed properly. Oh, so that's why you're giving him the suspension, because his ethics forms weren't completed properly. Well, that's just outrageous. To think that she used this reason, that Ms. Rossi used this reason, especially since this very same fact was clearly stated, the OPM's, remember the Cohn-Resnick report? We all remember the Cohn-Resnick report on the COVID report. Issued April 1st, 2022, over a year ago. And I quote, and you may go to this, on page 19 of the Cohn-Resnick report, as it relates to the Corporation Counsel and his business. Quote unquote, Mr. Turnan's Code of Ethics disclosure form is outdated and does not include all the entities that are doing business with the city. A year ago, all of a sudden, Ms. Rossi finds a reason that she should have resolved in April of 2022. She's now using that as a reason now, a year later, for the unpaid absence. I call that lack of leadership. I call that lack of follow-through. I call that embarrassing for the city. I have to say that, where is that transparency? There was none. Shame on this. Now, instead of the forms being completed promptly, she did use these forms in an unethical way to once again run for cover. Now, in all fairness, Attorney Turnan is not elected, so quite bluntly, he has a la carte authority to break rules and suffer with no real consequence, except for the one paid week. But I have to say this, after all we have been through these last couple of years, I don't care about party, I don't care about the person, but everybody in this room, how much more are we going to shatter the public trust? Just when we're getting on our feet again, that story comes out. And unfortunately, this thing could have been resolved over a year ago. And it sat there, unattended, by the Office of Policy and Management, issued that report. And we just ignored it, is what we did. When I say we, the city, not you in particular, I don't mean that, and I apologize if it meant that way. So, although some may call this part of the culture of corruption, because that's all we hear about now is the culture of corruption, I prefer to think of this and prior misdeeds of this administration as the culture of incompetence, lack of accountability, and transparency. It's time for a clean sweep of City Hall. Thank you for all the work that you guys do. God bless you.
Thank you, Mr. Cohen. Would anybody else like to come up and address the council? Would anybody else would like to come? Yes, Mr. Hickey.
Michael Hickey, 32 Bungalow Lane. Let me start off where Mr. Cohen left. 2 months ago, I picked up the Code of Ethics. I read this thing. There's no ifs, ands, buts in my mind. The corporate counsel didn't read it as well. It is harder for a person to call out somebody on their ethics and the hoops that they have to climb through just to file it, that it's not actually even worth it. And if they're wrong, they can be fined $1,000. Makes people stand up and pay attention. I've dealt with the law a lot of it on the criminal side. I'm not the nicest guy in the world. But when I read something like this in front of this West Haven, in front of the Register, it seems that's all that West Haven ever gets on the headlines. Nothing but negative. This man is a lawyer. He disrespected the very code of law. There isn't a lawyer in the world that would sit on judgment with him and say, no, that was absolutely unethical. First year students taught that. You don't do anything that's personally going to profit you. And then when you're working for a corporation such as the city of West Haven, you don't ship out foreclosures to your wife. I don't care how much. If he didn't like what he was making and the mayor couldn't give him a raise, do what I did. My boss couldn't give me a raise, I picked up the phone and found another job. Simple as that. I packed up, gave him my 2 weeks, and left. I'm not going to sit and argue, and I'm not going to violate my own ethics by stealing or anything else, or stealing work from that company. That's just being honorable. Now, the city council here has a duty of its own to do. You now have to send this lawyer in front of an ethics committee, and he has to answer to them for his actions. And so does the mayor. She's not above the law either. And when you're through with that, this council needs to write a letter to the judicial system so that they can review his actions as well, because trust me, a jury of his peers that are called lawyers, I have no doubt that they're going to suspend his license or permanently revoke it. That is an absolute crossing of the line. And all it was for money. Simple, basic greed. If you're not making enough, go find something, go back into your private and leave us. As a taxpayer, I do not want my money going to this man because I don't have any faith in him any longer. Period. I'm not going to give money, and I can say whatever I choose because I'm at a public podium, to a man that will line his own pockets knowing he's violating the very codes he helped to write. End of discussion. Got to change this town. And this city council is going to have to stand up and start making it count. Put them in front of an ethics board and then put them in front of a judicial board. And we'll see what the answers come out on that one.
Thank you, Ms. Hickey. Anybody else like to come up and address the council? Would anybody else like to come up and address the council? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Bonnie Posick, 107 East Avenue. In December of 2021, Peter Massaro was elected chairman of the city council. In brief remarks, after being elected to the role, Massaro said he expects his colleagues to do what is best for taxpayers, not themselves or their own egos. And the quote that was in the newspaper says, "Let's be fair to the taxpayers, not to ourselves and not to the good old boys that cost us a lot of money out there and put us in a hole." I like that man. This month, he wants an apology from the MARB. And the quote is, "For me personally, I haven't really seen them help us out. They did nothing but ridicule us for 5 years," Massaro said at a budgetary hearing. "Their job was to help us financially, and all I've seen come out of them is ridiculing us, including the council." And they want to do, the first guy wants to do what's best for the taxpayers, and so does the MARB. The first guy isn't interested in egos, unlike the current chairman, who will not allow MARB to come to his meeting until he gets an apology. This is not his meeting. It's a meeting for the benefit of the taxpayers. It's our meeting. The MARB can't help us because we won't let them. The MARB members legitimately want to do what is best for West Haven taxpayers, and they have met with apathy from the administration throughout this process. They receive no compensation for dealing with the problem children in this city who believe that they know best. We can't even get our employees to sign non-disclosure forms. We knowingly approved a purchase of over $50,000 in spite of the MARB's guidelines. The MARB mismanagement is how we got into this situation. The good old boys who are running this city need to cooperate with MARB or step aside. Let's be fair to the taxpayers. That's why we're all here.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else like to come up and address the council? Would anybody else like to come up and address the council? Third and final time, would anybody else like to come address the council? Public session is over. At 7. I'd like to have a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes for April 24th, 2023. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Bear with me, I'm taking minutes and strength. Okay, tonight's communications. Communication A, from the tax collector regarding overpayment of refunds of April 2023. Bring that up later. Communication B, from Jennifer Amendola, Director of ERS, regarding a lease agreement with Yale University Public Safety, utilize the radio equipment building at Shingle Hill Tower site. Communication C, that would be finance. Communication C, from Mr. Simon McDonald, Director of the Membership of Marketing Region of the Chamber of Commerce in Milford and West Haven, regarding the program consisting of hanging banners on Camp Thomas Boulevard with the city seal and a business logo. That's will be under finance. Council as a whole tonight, there will be no ARPA updates until next meeting. Mr. Carney has not attended today. So we will go ahead to finance. Councilwoman Hamilton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The time is now 7:21, and the Committee on Finance is in session. Members present are Councilwoman O'Connor, Councilman Quagliani, Councilwoman Akrabali, myself acting as chair in place of Councilwoman Hosky. Mr. Taylor, we meet again. How are you? Yeah.
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good, so, thank you so very much,
Well,
as
yeah,
promised.
well, not as promised. Certain councilmen have requested and received that list from my assistant grants writer, and so I felt it necessary to give that to everyone, because I think everybody should have it if somebody has it. But it is not what I would want to give to you. It's merely a list of the projects. It doesn't tell you anything about where we are so far as drawing them down, and to me, it's an incomplete report because of that. So, but at least you have, at least a view of what our portfolio of grants is.
And is it safe to say that this is all of them, or this is what we were able to capture?
I believe that is all that are
Okay.
currently active.
All right. Does anybody on the council, in finance, have any questions about the grant list at all? Nothing? Okay. And how about, year-to-date?
I don't have an update tonight. I'll have that for next meeting.
Okay. Does anybody in finance have any questions about the budget, year-to-date budget, that we can ask? Oh, okay, silent bunch. I'll open it up to the council. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Taylor? Yes, Councilman Donovan?
Thank you. Just one question. You got it highlighted here, that brownfield assessment for 500,000. Well, I don't know if you had it highlighted or somebody highlighted it. Is that, do we know what that was for? Off the, was that for the Stiles School or the Washington, was that for one of the
Trying to
schools that was
remember
for-
which is which. It is former schools studies. I'm sorry, I don't know.
Yeah, I just thought I'd ask in case maybe you knew.
I get him confused with the grant where we're doing the foreclosures and for wetlands. I can't write fast.
That's
Sorry
it?
if you- Thank you.
Yes, Councilman Quagliani?
Hello, David, how are you?
Doing well, sir.
Good, good. We had a lot of time together last month. But just for the record, I know that we talked about it in our finance committee meetings, but for those that may have not dialed into it, could you give a little update as to where you think we may land at the end of this year and what our cumulative fund balance looks like it may be at that point?
Yeah, from memory. About $5.6 million was what the audit report said for 2021. And we should be, I believe, by the end of fiscal 2022, somewhere in the neighborhood of $12 million. Now, that's if we choose to allow the surplus for the current year to go to general fund. As I've mentioned also in the finance meetings, we could take advantage of that addition surplus and and begin to fund our internal service funds, which are sorely lacking, or possibly put more money in the OPEB trust. So that's what we should do.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Is there some place to go, or at some point will we be able to get details about these grants and how they will be drawn down or implemented? Is there some place to look for that?
Yes, and the team has that as a priority.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we are down a coordinator, and the former coordinator wasn't keeping a tracker like this, which I think is necessary.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And this will be like the format going forward, so we can kind of see, track what's
Yeah,
going
I
on.
might also do that and have some sort of a summary to make it a little quicker to just kind of see the highlights. And I've also talked about with the team like a KPI sort of format to see, okay, we applied for this, we received that, kind of,
Yeah.
number of
Great.
grants.
Could be appreciated.
Yeah.
Is that all?
Yes, that's it. Thank you.
Councilman Johnson?
Thank you, Chairwoman. Mr. Taylor, I know we were discussing very briefly before the meeting, but I think it'll be good because a lot of residents have been asking, I know they've been asking me, I don't know if they've been asking others, I'm sure they possibly have. We had this big announcement months back, it was in the paper, and then it kind of died off, and now it's coming back again. Could you just give us an update, a basic update on what's going on with the NIPS situation, with what the state put into action, please?
Right, so the state, in order to help with litter, just trash type situations, regarding the mini bottles, some people call them NIPS, airline bottles, if you will. There's a lot of different names for them. They tend to be discarded once drunk. So the state decided to add I'm not sure how much per bottle tax to these, and was collecting that and returning it to the various municipalities in the state based on a formula. That formula, I believe, has something to do with the number of bottles sold in their municipality. The city has been in receipt of funds on a regular basis over the period since they started this. I can't tell you exactly how much money's there. It is tens of thousands, and currently we've not spent any of that money. There's no danger of the state coming and saying, "Hey, give it back because you haven't spent it." But there's a project that we are considering at this time, and that is a sort of a sidewalk gutter sweeper that operated by an individual and would suck up things such as these bottles and other trash as it moves down the street. We do have one, but unfortunately that particular unit does not encase the driver, and so therefore they're subject to a great amount of dust coming into their eyes, nose, mouth, on their body. So I did ask about putting a cab on it, and apparently that's not an option for the particular unit that it is. I think it's a fair use of the funds. It sort of speaks to the reason the funds are being given. There are other communities that are putting up trash cans, automated trash cans and things like that. But, there's a lot of things that are possible. That was a long rambling explanation. I'm sorry you didn't want all that, but anyway.
Works for me, thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you, Chairwoman, all set.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I think so. We had a presentation at one point about a lawsuit being filed against the people, the pharmaceutical companies, for the opioid crisis.
Mhm.
And there was supposed to be some funds that might have been available. Can you give us an update on that?
I cannot give you an update on it. I don't know exactly what's been going on just recently. I do know that we are getting funds on a regular basis for the opioid tragedy. I'm trying to remember if it's semi-annually or annually, I've seen some money come in. It's being accumulated, and I believe that it has been spent on sort of an advertising way of getting the word out up via billboards, that you call this number or I'm not sure how else it's being spent, but I do recall that was one of the ways.
Is there a way to get an update on that maybe for
Yeah,
the next
sure.
time? So that
I'm sure we
know
can.
what's happening with that and where the funds are going and what they're being
Mhm.
used for. Thank you.
All done?
Yes.
Councilman Bruno?
Thank you. Hey, Dave, thank you very much. Just to comment from Councilman Johnstone on the nip bottles.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna get my notes out, but I believe that you, prior to you, came before this body, that some of those funds would be used for cleanup. So if we're saying we're not gonna use this machine that is gonna make dust or whatever, I was under the assumption that some of it was along our shorelines. Every place these nip bottles are just thrown.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that some of that money was supposed to be used to try to keep the city a little cleaner than it is.
Yeah, I believe that is the intention in buying this unit. I don't know what other projects at this time would be slated, or whether there'd be enough money to do that in a short run. But I don't believe there's an end to this funding from the state. Well, distribution of tax money, really not funding, but.
Look into that for us when you get a chance, please.
Yeah, well, I'll check in
Nothing
that.
else, thank you.
Kind of interested myself.
That's it?
Thank you.
Anybody else on the council? Well, I think that's it, unless you have some MARB updates. I don't know if there has been any.
The last two meetings were executive meetings, so there's no update yet, but we do have a subcommittee meeting on Thursday, the 11th. Is Thursday
Thank you,
the
Mr.
11th?
Taylor.
Yes. On Thursday, 11th, the meeting, I think, is at 3 o'clock. They haven't changed it yet. We just don't have a location.
Is there an agenda?
No, I'm sure they're going to go over the budget. I haven't received one yet. Have you received an agenda?
I do not have an agenda per se. I'm hoping to get them a budget by the 11th, so I don't know that we'll actually go over the budget that was passed last week. They certainly may. But as you know, they're trying to keep it to 2 hours. And they are coming here. We do not have a location, as you said. Mr. McCarthy was working on that, and he was out today, and I didn't want to bother him with a phone call. He gets enough of those. So I did send him an email. Hope tomorrow morning we'll have, I believe he's reserved space at the high school for this, which I think is a great opportunity for them to see our new facility.
Rob, can I ask you a question on that, please?
Yes.
So, it's at the high school. We're gonna put this out, the public is gonna be invited to this?
So the MARB has registered a meeting and made a notice. It is a public notice for 6 o'clock. They might not have put it out because of not knowing the location, but they've invited us.
Well, that's great, Dave, and I
yeah.
appreciate that, but I did receive some calls on this.
Yeah,
So if there's a way we can get this out for
So-
May 11th at 6 o'clock at the high school and to open to the public.
So the way to get that out is for the people calling the meeting to put it out.
Anybody else on that? Or anything else? Did I see your hand up?
No, you answered my question, because Colleen had said 3 PM, but you said 6 PM.
No,
No,
there are
there's-
2 meetings.
Oh, there's 2 separate
Two
meetings.
separate meetings. They're the subcommittee meeting, which is our normal every month subcommittee meeting, will be at 3, will run till 5. They also wanted to, meet the council at 6.
Okay.
That was the intention of the 6 o'clock meeting, which would also, be a public meeting. Subcommittee meeting is a public meeting. However, the public is not invited to speak. The thought by the MARB, and I'm not here to represent the MARB. This is my interpretation of their thought, was that, they could hear from the people of West Haven and also from the council and see what happens.
Okay, great, thank you.
You're welcome.
And thank you again.
Thank you, Dave.
And I don't think, or I don't know if anybody heard anything about the police pension update. Mr. Chairman,
There's been
haven't.
nothing since
Nothing.
last council.
Great, okay. That wraps up our updates. We have before us Communication B from Jennifer Amendola, Director of ERS, regarding lease agreement with Yale University Public Safety. Utilize the radio equipment building at Shingle Hill Tower site. Wanna come on up, Jen? And tell us about it?
Yes, and I'm gonna bring with me our vendor, the city, as well as the project at Yale, so. if
Great,
everything-
yeah.
So, I'm gonna make my part brief, cause more importantly is what this gentleman will tell you. So I was approached by Yale University, who needed assistance in, reaching some sites in their lower New Haven campus area to Yale West. Their radio systems weren't meeting, they were having trouble. So we were approached, and they knew by way of our radio vendor that we had some problems with our radio that needed to get fixed. And lucky for us, we have him, and he sort of made the connection, and we're basically going to allow Yale University to, with your permission, hopefully you guys approve this, to utilize the shed at our Shingle Hill site, which is off Shingle Hill is the shed that we store radio equipment. And they want to utilize a portion of that room for their stuff. They got permission from the Regional Water Authority already for the use of their equipment with the water. That has nothing to do with West Haven. The shed is all ours and has nothing to do with the water company. And they've already gotten permission from the water company to use the water company property and place their antennas there for what they need. So with regard to what they're gonna help us with in return for letting them use our facility to just store something, is where I would turn to him for
And
help.
if you can just, give me one moment.
Yeah.
Coming back to the finance, and I'm asking that I bring this out for discussion. Is there a motion?
Second.
Second. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So this is Peter Gall, he's from Norcom.
Hi, Peter.
Hi, good evening. So everything that the director explained is accurate. In return for utilizing the small area inside the shed, the Yale University's equipment that's there and the access that it has to other sites will offer resiliency to the existing radio network and give it a backup path to continue operating. In the case of a failure of one of the other tower sites, the equipment that's being added, Yale will carve out space for the city of West Haven's radio network to travel across to get to an alternative site to get back to the police station where the central controller is. So when we identified that that site was available and I knew that there was a need from the city, we spoke to Yale about it, and they're in agreement that they can provide that service in return for the small footprint of space that they would need in the building.
I'm opening it up to finance. Are there any questions in finance? Councilman
Hi, Jen.
Quagliani?
Hi.
So, my first question is, and things could have changed. So, back in the day, right, we had radio equipment up on that site, and the lease was with the Regional Water Authority because it was their site. So the police department entered into a lease agreement with the Regional Water Authority because it's their site. So is that lease still current?
I would have to ask Chief Perno, but that had no bearing on what they wanted from us. They're just looking to store a small rack in my room And from the water authority, they're looking at adding an antenna, which they already got the permission from water authority.
So that shed belongs to the city of West Haven?
Just the shed does. We have nothing to do with the tanks.
Okay. And the equipment?
And I've
that-
had no paperwork to what you've just said in my tenure.
And this is a lease agreement? I see, references, we have a draft, but references to 5 years and
Yeah,
5-year renewal.
it's not a lease, that was a typo. It's a license agreement.
Right, but it says in the body, it says, it
For the
speaks, the
dollar.
initial term of this revocable license and agreement shall be 5 years, commencing on the date of execution, which could be renewed, for an additional 5 years.
Yep, that's correct.
Okay, and then it talks about that it's gonna, I guess I'd like to know, I think I'd like to codify what we're gonna get in return.
We're
In the
gonna get-
agreement, in the agreement.
Yeah, oh, it's going to be. So this is just a draft that was to get us started to let you guys know what we want to do and the project that they're interested in helping us with, which is gonna be a huge, huge plus for the public safety radio that had failed twice in a year, whether or not people knew that, because we didn't have a backup. So with this, what they are doing and offering to us, we're saving a tremendous amount of money, and we're going to get a backup. So if it fails again, it's not gonna fail because we're gonna have a backup.
So has there been in your budget requests or capital project requests, monies to handle this radio issue that we've had?
After it failed twice, we couldn't come to an agreement with the terms at the time with one of the vendors, with the city finance director at the time, for what they wanted to do. And then a second attempt was made to drop some fiber, and I believe I was just recently told that some fiber was dropped, but I don't think it was ever connected, so.
But no monies were asked for, there's no project in the capital plan that says
No.
we need to enhance our radio
The only,
system.
the only cost the city of West Haven is absorbing with this whole project is as much electricity as it would cost you to leave your porch light on. That is it. So if we were to redo the entire system and take out all of the radio systems at all of our towers, you're looking at about $1.2 million. That I don't think we have in this city, just my opinion. But if we were to take out 2 of the sites and replace most of the equipment that is damaged and needs to be comparable to one another in order to even get a backup, it's at least $500,000. So I'd rather pay a $90 electric bill than 1.2 million to hypothetically get a working backup radio system.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to reason in my head. It seems like if it's too good to be true, it must be too good to be true. So I'm just trying to, so can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So what's the strategic benefit of that site for Yale? I
So
mean,
that is a pathway for their radio network, then they're also building out a larger public safety radio network. That gets them from one of their master sites at the top of Yale Hospital over to the West Campus building. Otherwise, they don't have a wireless connection to make that path. So
Yeah.
because of terrain, that site is clearly visible from the rooftops of both locations.
Yeah, and listen, if we could help out our, our friends at Yale and it's gonna benefit us, that's terrific. I'm just, like I said, I think, and this is good to know that this is, tonight we're for discussion, but I think, prior to next meeting, if we could get kind of whatever the terms are firm
Yep.
in the contract, and then I think I would be satisfied with that.
Yep.
All right.
I've
thank
asked
you.
for the scope of work, which they were putting together that, and, what you just said, they were putting it all together after they did a site visit, so.
Okay.
Now that that's been done, I'm waiting for that.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Anybody else? And I'm gonna open it up to the whole council. Any more questions?
I heard thank you. I heard the term licensing and I heard the term lease. Is
Mhm.
this one or the other or both?
It's a license and agreement between us and Yale. It says, as he's stating down on number 8 of the agreement, which I don't know if they passed it out to you or not, it was asked to, but, as he states, a 5-year term, and it would be due and payable the first day of each month. it's all due to consideration of $1. And this was approved already by council, well over a month ago. The generic terms of the draft license,
You said approved by who?
the Corporation Council,
Okay.
over a month ago.
Okay, and so, I guess I'm struggling with the term license.
I would love to tell you more than that, but I don't have my law degree. I don't wanna lie.
Somebody needs one,
I agree,
somebody needs one.
or the city.
Yeah.
I would love to tell you more, but that's what I was told. It's a license and agreement.
Yeah.
Not
So- so-
specify that we're leasing, cause there's no money being exchanged on a monthly basis.
I don't know if you might have some insight into what they mean by license, because when I think of license, I think that there's a body somewhere that you go to petition to
Right.
get this
Yeah.
license, and I don't know that we're in the business of giving licenses. So that's why I'm asking, but what that
Yeah.
means. And then when it talks about leasing,
Mhm.
you know, I can understand the lease piece because you're trying to lease
Right,
space.
right.
But what's the license piece mean? So, I don't know if you have any insight
I'm
into,
very
No.
technical, but I'm not legal at
No.
all.
Okay.
I apologize.
thank you.
Alright,
That's it, thank you.
okay. Councilman Bruno?
Thank you. So Jen, to the
Yeah.
new radios that we got coming, right?
Mhm. Yes, sir.
This will strictly be able to help us in a backup need if we were to go down, then
Oh,
you
yeah, it
have a
would
backup.
definitely affect the new radios. Yeah, it would
But
back
to a
up.
backup capability, not gonna
Abs-
enhance us in any way on a
No.
new radio,
Backup.
just strictly a backup.
Just for a backup, yes. There's no enhancement with this.
Okay.
This is literally closing a loop, if you will, in the network, so that we can take a hit somewhere else at one of the other sites and not affect all the sites at one time.
And so, God forbid that we would go down today, Jen, there's no backup?
No. I mean, there was a generic backup that I formed when we had one of the storms, but, I mean, it's not ideal.
Right, so this backup would allow the majority of the radio sites to continue working in their current capacity. There is a backup that we did put in place shortly after we came into the picture that allows them to utilize one or the other tower manually. It's working, it's workable, it's better than the original solution. But this is kind of a transparent thing and would keep all the sites up in the case of that same failure that would happen again.
So you wouldn't have to switch from tower to tower, this would be the loop?
This would be a
Right.
loop and it would keep the simulcast in place, so.
I get it, okay,
I
thank you.
can get a lot more technical, but
I got it, thank you.
So I'm not technical at all. Where are the sites?
Can you tell us where the sites are?
I can tell if you wanna disclose them, I have to.
Yeah.
Oh, was it confidential?
Well, no, that's hard to answer, but no, I won't say that right now. But, the sites are Burwell Hill, Shingle Hill, Pagels, and the police department.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions? Councilman Donovan?
Hi, good.
I like the draft part so far, just a couple questions to clarify myself. Now, the shed, our shed is
Yep.
on RWA property, correct?
No,
The shed is not?
it is on our property, and
Our own,
Mrs. Dwyer
okay.
owns it on Shingle Hill Road.
Okay, so my next question would have been, would there have been a contract between us and RWA if we're leasing that shed from them or
This
some
was-
kind of contract, but
No, I
we're
think
not,
that stuff was all done back in 2015, when they put this, cause this is a newer shed. So I think all of that was done back then, but this has, no, that's not
So,
getting
all
involved.
right, the reason why I was asking, because
Mhm.
that, my next question would have been, well, did we get the okay from RWA to let them be in there, but that has
They
nothing to
don't,
do with this.
regional water doesn't enter our
So
shed.
they don't enter, so they don't even have any deal
No.
with us with that. Okay,
Just us and the radio.
yeah, that's awesome. And thank you very much for being here, sir. I'm all set, thank you.
Thank you. Did you wanna ask me something?
Councilman
Sorry.
Garza.
Oh, hi.
Can I ask, Peter a question?
Sure.
Peter, you said there's gonna be an antenna on the top of the shed. How big is it, and is it going to pose any health risks?
The antennas are actually going to be on top of the water tank.
Oh, okay.
And there's a similar antenna there now that the city, actually two antennas that the city utilizes. So those will be affixed to the top of the water tank. That's a separate agreement between Yale and Regional Water.
Okay.
There's no as far as I know, no health risks with this, and it's about 100 feet off the ground.
Okay, and are people gonna complain about how it looks?
I don't think, honestly, I don't think you would see it
No,
from the
you-
ground.
Okay,
It's
just
so
wanna make
blocked
sure.
by the trees,
Yeah.
to be honest with you. Yeah,
Yep.
they're really tall trees there.
Okay, that's it, thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else that hasn't spoken?
Hi, Jen.
Hi.
I'm a little confused.
Okay.
This shed that we have up there, is it near the water tanks? Or is it off to the water tank?
It's around there, but the water tanks actually fall on a bigger portion of the property, and I'll just show it and hold it up. These are the water tanks. The shed is, the shed is about here.
So actually, the shed's on city property.
Yes, Shingle
not
Hill
water
Road,
pump company.
Mrs. Dwyer's house, right where her home is. Her turkeys cross our road.
Okay, I was confused. I thought it was on water property. Thank you.
Welcome.
Anything else, Mr. Chairman?
No.
You're fine?
Thank
Yes.
And that
Yes,
was
ma'am.
my question, was Mrs. Dwyer.
Yes.
Is that personal property?
Yeah, this was arranged a long time ago with, not me.
So are we leasing from Mrs. Dwyer?
I think it's way more involved than a lease. I think they bought property or something from her.
So I don't understand how it could be her property if it's the city property. That's where I'm confused.
It's her property, but I don't know, again, we would have to have an attorney here for that.
So this is why this
Joe,
is
do you know that?
confusing. I think that we're all struggling with the whole, is there a contract in place currently? Is there the ability to sublease? Can we even approve this? Like, what are those details that we don't seem to have, and there's no one that seems
Well,
to know either?
The woman that owns that property allowed the water company, the radio company, the city to go there on her property and build all of that stuff, because it wasn't there before. And I don't know what was done back then, that they, whatever, if they
Right, so
purchased her
it's-
property, or, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it seems like a little wild to be able to walk into a situation that currently exists without knowing the details of that situation and then just piling on top of it. Like, I don't know if you have the authority to do, if we have the authority to do that, is what I'm questioning.
To put equipment
I
in
think
our
we need to
shed.
know the detail. Well, conceptually, that seems very simple. I guess what I'm asking is what's real? What is
Okay.
what does the contract say?
Okay.
And if it's nothing, then fine. But if
Yeah.
we don't wanna, I don't wanna okay something that could cause us problems later on. That's all.
Okay.
I just wanna know the details.
Sure.
Yeah. But it makes sense otherwise. It's just, that's the stuff that I kinda am curious to know more
Okay.
about.
Anybody else? No other questions? Okay, well, I thank you both for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah, we still are.
Yeah, I think I would be comfortable moving this next meeting if we could get the
Mhm.
description of the equipment that is gonna be housed and the equipment that they're gonna provide to the West Haven's radio system, as well as to Councilwoman Tucker's point. I think the issue that a lot of us have is, do we have the ability to sublease, right? So I think we need that original, whatever happened in 2015, to determine if there's a clause in there that says that we have the ability to sublease. And then if we do, it seems to be, pretty benign, but I think we have to, for me, I think I need to know those two things first.
Okay. Yes,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Yeah, I would agree with Councilman Quagliani. I believe the shed is on Regional Water Authority property, and the city owns the shed. So as long as there's an agreement there, I would also be in favor of it once we have some clarity to it.
Yep,
Thank you.
yep. Okay, I'm gonna, yes?
Is Miss Dwyer around? I think we need to hear from her that she knows what's going on. I mean, she's the one that owns the property that the shed is on. Has anyone spoken with her about this?
Or the document, right?
Correct.
To the
She
state or
should
whatever.
have the document, hopefully.
We should have one too.
We should.
so we'll hold this until, we get more information. Thank you. Okay, next we have Communication C from Simon McDonald, Director of Membership and Marketing, Regional Chamber of Commerce, Milford and West Haven, regarding a program consisting of hanging banners on Captain Thomas Boulevard with the West Haven seal, business logo. I'd like to open this up for discussion.
Second.
Thank you. And you must be.
I am Simon.
Hi.
Hi. How's it going, everybody?
Hi, welcome. You want to tell us a little bit about this program, please?
So back in the winter, Tom McCart, the Director of Public Works, and I had a conversation about some ideas that he had and we could implement with the chamber and about signage in the city. There was two things that came up, one of which has proved a little larger than I wanted to get into. This one, it was a nice little sweet spot of helping out businesses here in West Haven, advertised to those people that are coming into the beaches across the summer down on Captain Thomas Boulevard. So what we have put together, you can see it in front of you, is banners the same size as the ones that you guys had for the Centennial. So they're gonna be similar in size and shape to that, because that'll fit the same post that are on the lamp posts in the middle of Captain Thomas Boulevard. Each business is putting in $350 for a double-sided sign to be hung along Captain Thomas Boulevard, and the monies will be split between the city of West Haven in order to pay for the public works people to put the signs up and down, and the chamber for doing the work for getting all of this done after we've paid for the banners, which that cost will come out of that $350. So it doesn't cost the city a dime. We're not really making any money on it either, but the benefit to some of the businesses here in the city that don't have the capital to purchase a billboard on 95 or even a billboard in the city, but get a nice piece of exposure to residents and visitors coming into the city is, we think, a very good way to help spur a little economic development in the city. So it's a fairly simple operation. I've got about 20 of them sold at this point in time, and you can see some of the renderings we have there, and I'm working with a printer, so hoping to have them up by Memorial Day.
So you already sold?
We've made calls, and yeah, I was unaware that this part of things had to happen.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Nice.
nobody did
Yeah.
that. I'm
Okay.
sorry, I'm kind of give me a task, I'm gonna go do it.
I hear you.
So, I mean, I have the money, I can give it back if that's the choice, but, this is something that I wasn't aware that I needed
This
more,
step.
yeah,
I know,
I'm new to
sorry
this
about
stuff. No,
that.
don't be, it's fine, I don't mind, I mean, it is what it is,
Has
I
there-
learn.
Has there been any collaboration with the economic development?
I spoke with Christine
Commission?
a little while back, and she said, if you wanna go ahead with the banners, go ahead with the banners. Am I correct?
Yes, and
Thanks.
Scotty Williams was our liaison with you to
Right.
work on them with you.
Yep,
But
and-
she
and-
hasn't heard from him for a while.
Yeah, I've been a bit busy. She sent me a list of businesses to call on at the start of it, and that's a good portion of what I've got there. I'm only making this available to businesses in West Haven. There's no membership in the chamber required or anything of that nature. This is strictly you're a business in West Haven, would you like to have some exposure? $350. So, a normal billboard on 95 is $7,000 a month. You put one on Route 1, it's $700 a month. So this is $350 for 5 to 6 months of advertising. Just a way to try and help, really, that's all we're trying to do.
Okay. To the finance department, committee. Is there, yeah, I'm gonna take your job. I don't want your job, that's fine. Do we have any questions? Yes?
Hi.
Hi, how are you? I
Hi,
have a couple
it's
questions for you.
Go ahead.
The cost of $150, does that cover hanging materials?
That is the banner that has it's got the materials in it. The banner itself is a hanging material.
Okay.
It's got, what do you call that, rings, yeah.
Okay, so it does, okay.
Yeah.
And then who will be hanging, these banners?
That would be Public Works.
Public Works, okay.
And that's why we're taking the total dollar amount, we're taking out the cost to the printer,
Right.
and then splitting the rest between the two, depending on what the Public Works
Right,
cost.
and you would be the one responsible for the associated cost? Or would
Yeah.
that- Okay, perfect.
Mhm.
That's a challenge, thank you.
Anybody else?
What's the max number, cutoff number?
I think it's 30. I'm at 20 now. I'm good to go. If more people want to add to it, that's fine. But
You said you don't have to be a chamber member.
Nope. If you have a business and you want to write me a check, I will take it.
And how was it advertised to the business community?
I've been calling the business community, primarily through, I mean, we put it out on our newsletters and stuff. That's the way I've got to do it. But I have had, my intern and I have been making phone calls to the West Haven businesses that we can find on Google and so forth. We don't have a phone book anymore to call out of. And I have a fairly extensive database of West Haven businesses that haven't joined the chamber as well, and we've been calling those.
And did you, listen, I appreciate the collaboration that the chamber has with local business. It's important. So when I ask you these questions, I ask everybody these questions. So, where did you come up with $350? Did you do, I mean, it seems very low to me.
It is. It is very low. This was not a money-making thing. This is we want to help businesses in West Haven get themselves known. There was no, I mean, I could have done it for $1,200 a piece or something like that, but I didn't want to make this a money-making operation. That's not what it was supposed to be. This was a way to help out small businesses in the community.
Yeah, I know we had a council had a conversation, I don't know, a year ago maybe, right?
Okay.
About how we monetize different things. So
Mhm.
I know that's a consideration. I mean, it's prime real estate, right?
Right.
So, I mean, and we chose to have these on the shore as opposed to in the center,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Just,
Well, I chose that because that's where the posts have the place to put them. If we sell all of those out, I'll go up up Campbell or wherever else you have.
I
posts
think
that
we
can
have
hang
the
same.
posts on Campbell too, I believe. We have posts to hang banners on Campbell, but, okay.
I had to start someplace, and the truth to tell, advertising wise, marketing wise, it'll look, if they're sporadically done, it kind of takes away from the overall aspect of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think, listen, at the end of the day, doing nothing, we should not do nothing, right?
Right.
So, but I would like to, I think personally, I'd like to see you collaborate with the Economic Development Commission, who was tasked with a similar, and I don't know if this was a splinter of that or whatever it may be, but I think it would make me feel better if next
Okay.
meeting you both came up jointly
Yeah.
and said, here's what our proposal is.
Okay.
Right? So, because I know we put members of the community on that commission and on other commissions, kind of to do the legwork and then make recommendations back to this body. So some commissions are more active than others. This one has been active of late, which is good to see. So
good.
I think I'd like to see them be involved in the process.
Okay.
All right.
So
that's just for me.
Yeah, no, I
So
understand.
I'm good.
The
Yeah.
only
You
concern
don't
I
need to
have
res-
is we're coming into summer soon. So if
Yeah.
these are going to be effective, I would want to get them up sooner than later. So.
Yeah, that's, because it says summer, so it's
Yeah,
like limited to.
Yeah,
the season.
that's what these are for, is for the summer, and then if, after these are done, we can redo it again, and if we need to raise the prices again to raise some more money for the city, we can. This is a pilot project to see if it works, and if we can make it happen at $350, maybe next time we do it at a higher number and earn some income for the city, if that's something that is desired.
Yes. Or were you through, I'm sorry.
I'm also,
thank you.
Thank you. If these banners were to be destroyed in, say, a storm during the summertime, what is your plan for maintaining them?
I will offer replacements to the businesses at the cost.
At the same cost? Okay.
At the cost of the banners,
Right.
the 153.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman.
Anybody else? Right. I'm gonna open it up to, the council. Any questions? Chairman?
Thanks for coming.
Thank
My
you for
question
having
is, who's gonna maintain these? I mean, what if they get ripped if we have a heavy rain? Are we gonna maintain them?
Like I just said, we will replace them at cost to the business.
So in other words,
If the
our
business
people-
wants to replace what they've had up there, yes, I'll replace it for them at cost. So
But
I'll
our
go back
public
to the
works gotta
printer.
put 'em up.
Yes, that would be true.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Bruno?
Thank you. So I would also like to see that the Economic Development Commission
Mhm.
is more involved in this.
Okay.
To really have an input in it. That's why they're on this board.
Yep.
And I feel it's important to do that. The other thing is, I would like you to make sure that the businesses got a fair shake on in West Haven. They weren't hand-picked businesses.
Absolutely not.
Everybody got a shot at it.
Yeah, I think that barely 50% of the businesses that are on there are chamber members. It wasn't done for that reason. This was done.
And who's
I'm
gonna
not-
come up with the designs and all that? How's that working?
Oh, that was me.
So you're making the designs?
Yeah, well, not the logos. I mean, I came up with the top half there. If you look at the package that I provided, it's there. It's with the West Haven seal. Summer is West Haven. I thought it was a catchy slogan. And then it's business name, address, website, phone number.
And then you collect the money from the businesses.
Yep.
In whole.
Mhm.
And then you're going to give the city half of the $350.
Half of the 350 minus the 150. Yeah, $100. Again, this was never going to be a money-making operation for anybody. I'm not making a dime off of it. We're just trying to help some of the smaller businesses in West Haven get a bit more exposure. It was something that that the Director of Public Works asked me about, and I went ahead and moved forward with it.
Thank
you.
On recommendation of that.
Any other questions? Councilman Donovan?
Good evening, Simon.
How are you,
First thing, thank you for what you've been doing for the
Appreciate
chamber,
it.
and getting West Haven involved with that, and I truly appreciate it. So, the banners would go up at a certain date, whatever it is, before Memorial Day, June, whatever the board,
Yep.
if it goes that route. And it lasts until when?
End of summer, so we're gonna probably pull them down to October-ish.
Okay.
That's my plan here. I mean, it's been warmer longer.
Right.
So maybe they
Right.
stay up until November, but October was my original plan.
All right.
I was hoping to have them up already. Again, didn't realize what I was
Yes.
doing.
I know, like you said, you were new at
Learning.
it, and by you not coming here, and if that happened, there would be such an uproar, right? And that would, a lot of it come from us ourselves. So-
Again, just never.
Yep, nope.
Never knew.
So, good learning lesson, right?
Thank you.
We're all doing
Thank you.
learning lessons here, not just the
appreciate
council,
it.
we all are.
Yeah,
So
I cut
again,
ribbons,
if
you
this
know?
goes through, and then if this does work, and I agree with everybody else that, the next go-around, if there is a next go-around, that the
Mhm.
Economic Development Committee is
Yep,
fully involved with that
absolutely,
as well.
absolutely. That's
Because,
on me.
Yeah, no, that's all right, a learning lesson, right?
Yep.
So, but, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Garfield?
So I have a question for the council. Did anybody check and make sure that this is okay with our ordinances? So are we breaking we break our rules a lot, so I just wanna make sure that. Yeah. And then I just have a comment, in the future, maybe we could have this on your website, advertise this on you have a website, right?
Yeah, we do.
So
We do.
maybe
I-
it could be
like I said, I put it-
available on the website, so that.
Yeah, I had put it through the newsletters.
Okay.
So that we don't, our website tends not to have this sponsorship opportunities and things like that. We tend not to put that up there. The website is primarily for informational purposes for the general public.
Okay.
So it's not this type of direct marketing wouldn't really fit on the website necessarily. I sell sponsorships for all sorts of events and other things, and that is always done on an outside basis, not on the website. I'm not, saying that that's the wrong thing to do, it's just not the way we do it.
Yeah, I was thinking that it would seem fair almost,
Mhm.
because I too have concern that perhaps there may be just a bit of favoritism. We don't know, so.
I wish I knew enough
Yeah.
businesses in West Haven to favorite them. Truth to tell, you know, I mean, I don't know enough. I went up and down Captain Thomas Boulevard. Maybe they got favorited a little bit because they're on the route where I would have them. But I called as many businesses in West Haven as I possibly could.
Okay.
So,
All right, well, thank you.
yep. Yes, sir. Oh,
Yes, thank you.
Well, I guess that's the question that I have, is these poles that these hang
Mhm.
from are on specific, locations, right? Captain Thomas Boulevard, Campbell Avenue.
Mhm.
They don't really exist anywhere else, right?
Right.
So therefore, the businesses that you're targeting may or may not be in that area?
yeah,
Is
Bank
it-
of New Haven is not in that area. Coastal Marine Testing is not in that area.
The Bank of who?
Bank of New Haven, they just signed up this morning.
Oh, okay.
They're moving onto Campbell Avenue in the summer. Yeah, I mean, the Duchess Dinerot is up Campbell Avenue. They're not down on Captain Thomas. Fitzgerald Forest isn't. Fuse Theater doesn't even have a space. Splash Car Wash isn't there either. So, yeah, actually, very few of the businesses that we got are on Captain Thomas.
Right. So the point that I was gonna try to make.
I'm sorry, I didn't
that's
mean to
okay.
interrupt.
That's all right. The point that I was gonna try to make is that, to me,
Mhm.
that seems a bit confusing. If I were to see a sign like that, I'd be looking around for that business in
Yeah.
that area.
Okay.
Just
Yeah.
because it's on a sign. Do you know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I find that a little bit confusing.
Yeah, I'm looking
Personally.
at them as billboards.
I
and
get
when,
it, but
you know, and
I'm just telling you what I see.
Okay, I understand.
Alright. So,
Thank you.
and I get the point. I understand the point of what
Mhm.
you're trying to do, but they're small, which means you have to pay attention. You have to zero in on what it is that you're reading.
Mhm.
You're driving by something.
Well, they're about yay high. I'm just trying to,
How big are
4 feet by 2 feet.
they? Okay, so I agree also with the rest of the
Mhm.
group about working with the Economic
Yep,
Development Council, because I
absolutely.
think that they've invested a lot of time, as
Mhm.
was shared. And we have talked
Mhm.
about this before, and I
Okay.
think, just to have one person or a small group of people come and put something together like this and get it up and running when a group of people have been working on it for quite
Mhm.
some time is a little bit undermining, which I don't think is a good thing.
Going to do anything.
But thank you.
Mhm.
I appreciate though the work.
All done. Are you finished?
I'm done. Thanks.
Councilman Johnson?
Thank you. I have a couple kind of points with a question in it.
Okay.
The first point, the banner itself,
Mhm.
if they're selling it for $153, and I bring this up because I actually used to make these and sell for a small business, banners, signs, everything.
Gotcha.
And my good friend is still in it, and now he's a production manager for a company in Stratford. And I inquired to him about the current pricing of them.
Mhm.
If this banner is $153 with the current pricing of the supplies to make banners, this has to be the cheapest banner money can buy. Because if it doesn't include the wind holes, and you've got to put the grommets, and you're exposed at the beach, my concern is, to what you said before, if they get damaged, you're gonna cover the cost, which means now you're putting yourself in a pickle with the business whose banner it is,
Mhm.
because now it's like, well, why'd my banner rip already? See what I mean?
Yeah, no, I understand where you're coming from, and I'm working with
Okay.
a sign company that I've worked with numerous times, and there are no grommets, so there's it's.
Right, every hookup is different.
Yeah, so these are tubes of cloth that go along the post, so there are no grommets there. They're thick cloth, again, they're going to be very similar to what I have hanging up in my office now from your Centennial, from the West Haven Centennial.
So remember, that's hanging in your office, it's not hanging.
Well, no,
at the
I
beach.
understand, but I know that they hung up there for quite a while with, for that
So,
time.
so that leads me to my next point, is the question of the pricing. 'Cause- and I understand you said this is not supposed to be a large, profitable, it's supposed to build that morale, but the problem I have grasping this is, I have sold, and once in a while, I help out with the soccer company I coach for part-time in Fairfield. I have sold soccer T-shirt sponsorships
Right.
that last 4 weeks for more than that.
Mhm.
And that's one small spot on a T-shirt, and there's 20 of them. So the point I'm making is, are we gonna look that desperate to try to get as many as we can? And are we gonna, by looking that desperate to fill all these poles, are we gonna decrease our quality of look at the shoreline? Like, hey, we're just gonna throw all these banners up there instead of building that, you know, you kind of want, when you're doing this, and this is just my opinion based on my experience, you want to build that friendly competition of who's getting the hot spots, because at the end of the day, economic development is building the funds and building that friendly competition in your community where then you're attracting people. But
Yeah,
that's,
no, I understand. I mean, I sell sponsorships. Some of them are $6,000 for a dinner, and some of them are for different things. So this is what I was doing for this project. There will be others where I will be looking for more money for different needs. So that's I understand where you're coming from. I do, and if I was doing this as back in my advertising days, I would be selling these for a lot more money, just so that I could,
Right, I get it, 'cause you gotta
know
make
what I mean?
commission and
This
stuff, I
is-
get it,
This
right.
is, I'm doing this as a chamber, as a, not gonna lie, it's kind of an entree into, for us, into West Haven to get an introduction at a friendly price. I'm hoping that some of these people who buy these banners become members of the chamber. That's my actual goal as a personal thing. It's not a requirement, it's a suggestion. It comes up, but it's not, so that's one of the reasons we were able to do it at this price. And I checked this price with the Public Works prior to, and I was okay, and they were okay with it, so I went ahead with it, and I did not realize the levels that I missed. That is what I did. I missed some levels, and I apologize for that.
thank you, Chairman, I'm all set.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Councilman?
Yeah, so to that, I do personally appreciate your apology, but
No worries.
before we're selling these, and now you have 20 sold, I would hope that the next time you would come for your approvals before you sell the product, that you don't know if you're gonna get approval.
Yeah, believe me, when I found out I needed to
Yeah.
be here, I was a little,
Okay.
yeah.
So you didn't realize the
I had
step?
no idea. I had
Okay.
no idea. I took a piece of information for granted. My
Okay,
fault.
thank you.
Still my bad.
I appreciate that.
No worries.
Anybody else? Okay, well, Mr. McDonald, thank you for coming before us. We hope to see you again. And
I'm
we're
glad
just
to
gonna
hear
give
that.
you time to collaborate
Yep.
some more
Yep.
with that council
Okay,
and see what you all come up with.
thank
okay?
you very much.
Thank you.
Yep.
Commission, yes. Thank you. Mr. Chairman, your Committee on Finance,
So that communication is going to be held as well?
it's gonna be held,
Thank you.
yes. Thank you. The Committee on Finance is closed at 8:18.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Councilman.
Thank you.
Okay, unfinished business. Committee reports. The clerk will read the communication A in the record.
We have before us communication A from the tax collector regarding overpayment refunds for April 2023, which will be filed with the, tonight's minutes, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Stacy. And now we will get back to finance committees, and we will start with
Oh, so fast.
Councilwoman
So
Hamilton.
fast, so fast. Your, Communication B has been held. Communication C has been held. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Those communications are being held. Adoptions and ordinances and previous presented.
There are none.
Council liaison reports, any
Doesn't seem to be any.
new business? Yeah,
I'm gonna hold a new business for this evening, Mr. Chairman.
okay.
Okay.
Motion adjourned.
Motion.
All in favor? Good night, everybody.
Good night.